Last weekend, I was invited to play my very first game of Twilight Imperium 4th Edition. This is a game of epic proportions that took 11 hours to play. This game is very, very famous for being an epic strategy and role-playing game with different alien races vying for the position of the next emperor of the galaxy. I guess it's a galaxy or universe or whatever. First of all, I was very happy to be invited, and I enjoyed my time playing with the group that had invited me in. However, I don't feel like I played a game with them. I feel like I participated in an experience. As a game, and strictly speaking, about the game itself, and not the great day that I had with these friends of mine. I did not like the game. I would not recommend the game. I would never buy the game. If I was invited to play again, because I enjoy those people, I would gladly play again with those people. If I was invited and they asked me, what do you want to play? I would never say Twilight Imperium. So, that being said, we're going to go into the review. Of course, I'm going to break this down to theme, mechanics, luck, strategy, and complexity. So, first of all, most surprisingly, theme. Especially having read the rulebook in advance, I expected this to be a perfect 10 for theme. Usually games that are this epic go to great lengths to cover the theme and to make it feel like you're acting out these roles. But I would actually give the game an 8 for theme. And the reason I'm giving an 8 for theme is not because it doesn't do a great job with the alien factions, not because that the battle and the ships and the movement across the board isn't great, but because the game wants to be more than just a game about taking over planets and area control. It wants to be a game about politics, and it does this through a mechanic which is voting for agendas. Players together vote on these actions, and their vote determines how the rest of the game is going to be played. I wanted to see more. I wanted to see the politics theme more fleshed out. And I will talk a little bit more about that in mechanics. But for theme, an 8. So for mechanics, there are several mechanics in this game that are brilliant. But if there are things that interfere with that, that lowers the mechanics score. So let me talk about the things that are brilliant first. I love that during gameplay, you can do, I would say one of two, but maybe one of three things. So you can use a command token to do basically an action on the board. You activate a hexagon, and you can do all of the things within that area of space. There are cards that you can play that have actions on them, so that would be the second thing. And then the third thing you can do is you can play your strategy card. And your strategy card gives the holder a unique ability and everybody else a secondary ability. I love that mechanic. I also love the command tokens. And my goodness, do I love the mechanic of voting on a law that influences the game. These things are brilliant. However, they are not enough to raise the game against the burden that it carries. It carries the burden of having way too much to think about. Oh my gosh. I spent 11 hours just reading things and processing what's going on. I like complexity. Complexity is a separate score. Complexity is engaging in itself. But as a game mechanic, you will constantly refer to reference cards and reading text. A new law comes out that changes the rules. Every character has abilities. There are technologies. Things are constantly occurring. The game just unfolds, and you keep reaching these points of realization. And then you have to sit there and think about the implications of this new rule or, this new technology or whatever that means. That is one of the reasons why the game is so exciting. When you sit down, you don't know what's going to happen. And so, to the game's credit, that can be very appealing. I don't want to play that. I would say, if that sounds overwhelming to you, oh my gosh, never play this. But if you like the idea of surprise, it's like watching a movie or reading a book and, turning the page and something totally unexpected happens. I felt that constantly and processing all of that stuff. But it does that at the deterrent of the mechanics. So for mechanics, I give it like a 2. despite the brilliance of the strategy cards, the command tokens, and so much else that's going on, it's just not a game that lends itself to gameplay that you can really even process. You just sort of witness it unravel. Okay, with luck 10. That's it. I mean, this is one of the luckiest games I've ever played. A single card can change the entire course of the game. When things happen, there is so, like, dice rolling. Dice rolling determines the outcome of a battle. Don't like that. I don't like the cards. I don't mind luck. What I mind is luck under the guise of a strategic game where your choices matter. For strategy, I would say the game is very tactical. Any given turn, you're trying to do the very best thing you can do under the given circumstances. By your next turn, everything can change completely. So, long term, I mean, there is, you know what, to give the game credit, there is an important strategy, which is how you interact with your opponents, how you play other players. Are you going to violate an alliance that was established earlier in the game? Are you going to be friendly? Are you going to be aggressive? Are you going to invade somebody's homeworld and really, really upset them? That is very strategic, because even though the conditions of the game can change immensely, the relationships around the table pretty much stay the same. Come to think of it, I think of it as a game, and I'm trying to analyze the gameplay. The game is not about the gameplay. The game is about the social interaction. And if you think about that, an opportunity to have an interesting social interaction for 11 hours, that can be a lot of fun. I would recommend it to people who value that experience. And even as I say it, it's like, oh, maybe the game's not so bad, as long as I don't think that I'm playing a game. And then complexity is so easily a 10. There's so much to think about. There's so much to read. It is, oh my God. There are so many pieces. And then all of that stuff has reading material on it. And there's a lot of flavor text too. I actually kind of like the flavor text. And the planets are kind of interesting. There are so many combinations and the way that the game can change with different factions. But look, at the end of the day, here's the thing. Would I play it again? Yes. I like it because it's a great social interaction. If I wanted to play a game that feels like a game, and I wanted a great social interaction, and I didn't want to play for 11 hours, I would play Cosmic Encounter, because Cosmic Encounter accomplishes so much of what Twilight Imperium accomplishes in the social interaction. If I wanted to play a game where I was a cool alien race exploring the galaxy and fighting other ships, I'm going to play Eclipse, because Eclipse feels more manageable. And also, Eclipse does technology way better, and there's so much less overhead. And by the way, I am speaking of the first edition of Eclipse. I have not played the second edition of Eclipse, and I've heard the second edition is even better. Twilight Imperium, for being the fourth edition, is not as great as I expected it to be. I think that they could really fix the technology, which is so hard to build, and they could really fix the agendas, which has the potential to be so much more interesting. Thankful that I played. Not one I recommend. Those are my thoughts. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.